Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, back from my 2 week hiatus where I was in Korea with some friends, and if you haven't followed along with that, I posted some stuff on Twitter, some stuff on Instagram, and also recapped the whole thing on like a VOD a couple days ago, which I'll link in the comments. If you want to see like the whole recap of my experience with Korea, TLDR, pretty good, loved it. We'll probably go back at some point in my life. Great food, great people, great climbing, great everything. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the video now for today is about the Path of Exile announcement for the new league, Affliction League. I missed out on watching that because I was flying back and yeah, lots of transit and stuff. So I came back and watched it live, well, you know, live as in with everyone. A couple days ago, and I wanted to give my impressions upon the league and the stuff coming and just the announcement in general. And to start with, real quick, just a bit of the PoE 2 stuff. So they started the stream for the first, like, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, I think it was. Yep, talking about Mercenary gameplay in Path of Exile 2. The big reveal there being that WASD movement exists, and it looks pretty smooth. Like, integrated into the game, and it should be interesting to see how that feels, playing with lots of different skills, especially in a world where it's been made to work well together, hopefully. All I'll really say, my impressions are that I didn't care about the mercenary concept and the sort of one of the last classes that were going to reveal there during all the PoE2 stuff. It wasn't really on my radar, but watching the gameplay and watching this showcase, this demo during this announcement, I'm actually pretty sold. It looks really fun. It looks fairly powerful, snappy, like, you know, crisp, good decision making, all of that sort of stuff. It looks pretty fucking fun. Like, I'm way more sold on playing this than I am on playing a droid, for example. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this. And it made me a bit of a believer in the Mercenary and the crossbow system. So hopefully the WASD is good, hopefully Mercenary is good, hopefully Path of Exile 2 in general is good. So now on to the actual new league, the Affliction League. And what we have here is you going into tunnels, stuff happens, you fight some stuff sometimes, you leave, and then monsters outside in your map get buffed. Overall, it looks pretty cool. Overall, it looks, you know, visually very nice, and my impressions from the actual mechanic itself seem like they're going to be very Sentinel-like in reward structure. So it should be something a lot of people are big fans of, because Sentinel, the actual reward structure there, you know, press button, things get more difficult. It was a crowd pleaser for most people, and this seems very similar in the mechanic itself, where you leave the zone, things get buffed in various ways, they will drop more loot in various ways, and you don't have to do that much to like actually activate or interact with it. So it should be pretty smooth, and I think it should be a crowd pleaser, and I think it should just increase loot in good amounts of ways. But there's a lot of other stuff coming, so they've got what we just then saw was like new Ascendancy stuff. So the actual, you know, besides the actual rewards of more stuff dropping throughout the game, the big reward for this league is going to be new Ascendancy, like sub-Ascendancy thing that you can pick. Everyone's going to get one of these, and we'll go over them in a sec, but they look just like pure power creep in a pretty fun way. Not just, you know, damage increase numbers or some shit, or damage reduction numbers in boring kinds of power creep. These are fun types of power creep where you have to think about what you're doing for your build, for your situation, and you know, make good use of it with certain builds and worse use of it with certain other builds, etc. So it looks like a good type of power creep, but then there's a lot of other stuff coming too. Ultimatum's back, lots of new builds in the form of Transfigured Gems, and yeah, there's a lot to talk about with that as well. So there will be, yeah, quite a lot of basically new builds and gems around a whole new system, essentially. So we'll tear into it in a sec. Let me just see, do we need to do this? Okay, all of that we can do basically by ourselves. So if we go to the announcement page, what we have here is Affliction League announcement, blah, blah, blah. Basically, like I said, the reward structure should be similar to Sentinel, I think. Some mobs get buffed, they get tougher. They drop more like uniques, more, you know, currency, more rares, etc. Should be pretty good. But then there's the Ascendancy portion of it. That can be pretty powerful. So one Ascendancy is going to be focused around... Whoops. One Ascendancy is going to be focused around these things called tinctures. Tinctures are kind of like coated oils to your weapon that will replace a flask slot. Thus, there's quite a decision to be made there over flasks for certain builds, and they're going to do various things for your characters that just enhance them in various ways. So, I don't know, you can fucking flick some Wither, steal some Frenzies, you can Culling Strike, you can kind of head onto some buffs. Lots of different stuff's going to happen, and I assume they're going to be pretty potent and kind of worth doing over a flask slot, because otherwise, what the fuck's the point? So there's going to be also other stuff to do with that. So flask sustain over here, or like flask effect. So it can be pretty interesting, I'd say, and it does have some decision-making aspects to it. As you can see, tinctures applied, 75 effect per empty flask slot. So there'll be builds that don't really utilize flasks as well. You got a few decisions to make, and maybe you can get some real powerful tinctures going in your build. But basically, this is all just pure profit anyway. There are additional ascendancies. You got rare and unique enemies within 120 meters have mini-map icons. That's pretty, you know, good shit. I remember loving map hacking in D2 back in the old days, where you can just see mobs all over your screen, so you know exactly where you're going. Kind of a similar way, and kind of similar to Metamorph in that way, where you'll just be able to keep track of some of the most powerful enemies in your map. So that one will be definitely something to play around with, but I don't know if it's, you know, a permanent fixture, since it's not real power. It's more like quality of life. Some defensive shit, I assume. I don't know. Some other defensive shit. Who gives a fuck? And then a pretty interesting one here that definitely makes you have some real choices in your gems you use, your builds you're going to play, etc. You can have 30 movement speed if you equipped boots with no socketed gems. So right off the bat, if you get this early on, supposedly you'll be getting these like as early as Act 2, like an Ascendancy point or some shit like that. And yeah, if you can get that while just leveling, 30 movement speed this early on, you don't really have much of a penalty of no gem there. It can be pretty crazy. So that's just for leveling stuff, but in general, it looks like there might be quite a few choices to make with your gear and get quite a lot of power out of that, given this node here. So that's a pretty good one, pretty cool one. Like I said, lots of choices to make and decisions to make. You got this one here, that Warlock of the Mists. So with this one, you'll end up like doing stuff with corpses that is pretty interesting, where you like take less damage from everything associated with a humanoid or deal more damage to it. It's like you'll interact with the corpse of a certain archetype of enemy, so humanoid or, you know, construct, and then in that way you might have buffs against that type of archetype of mob. But then there's also Eldritch, so in the end you might be able to have good extra utility against bosses. And then it also creates a new sort of tier of Spectre that you might be able to use in big guardians like this, Perfect Hydro. Don't know exactly how it's all going to work out yet, if it's going to be worth it, if it's going to be worth the headache, if it's going to be, you know, sustainable and stuff, but looks like some pretty cool shit there. You also then have actual like blood magic, but better. So blood magic might be utilizable in a pretty big way this league. And then additional fizz based off of life cost. Definitely some builds that can take advantage of that. Pretty interesting one here, gain life instead of max ES from equipped armor items. That's going to change an entire archetype of your like gearing on some characters, where you can get a fuck ton of life based off of high energy shield items. And we might see straight up some of the highest life pools we've ever seen, I'd say, of any characters before. Don't know some sort of extra curses and stuff. Some of these curses are actually pretty cool, pretty worth talking about. The main one I'll just go over is Penance Mark here. So Penance Mark is going to cause the enemy to spawn some adds, basically, that you can attack, kill, and gain, flask charges or on-kill effects off of. I say this is probably going to bring cast on melee kill kind of into the forefront, and may actually be a pretty potent and viable thing to fuck around with. So that's going to be something to, look forward to, play around with. But there is some pretty interesting, powerful stuff here in general, and definitely some choices to be made. And then Wildwood Primalist. This one's pretty fucking interesting and looks like it's just a whole bunch of power creep, but in your own fun, customizable way. So first of all, just bit more fucking inventory space. Some people would love that. Or you can do like D2 Barb hawking, I think they call it, right? Where you walk right and get extra loot from corpses or from chests. So a lot of people are going to fuck with that for sure. Pretty fun little concept. But then you got 3 spare sockets to do whatever you want to do with, and that's going to be filled with charms. These charms borrow from other ascendancies, and they're not quite as powerful as the main ascendancies, but they can be pretty good, and you can stack them. So just based off of the real small examples we have here of these charms, 2 movement speed per frenzy charge. Imagine you did 3 of those, that's 6 movement speed per frenzy charge. Imagine you're a raider by then taking this ascendancy as well. That's fucking 8% movement speed per frenzy, or is it 3 by default? I don't know. Regardless, 8% per frenzy charge. Just by default, imagine you all of a sudden have like an extra fucking 60% movement speed from 10 frenzy charges, and that's just an extra little ascendancy bonus that you can have throughout the game. But you can also have secondary mods, and some of these are going to be pretty powerful, I'd say. These charms, so you will get them from the vendor, I think, that you interact with. So even if you don't really care about this, might be worth checking this guy and farming him, because I'd say some of them are going to be very expensive and they are tradable, so keep your eyes on those. But in general, going to be pretty fun to just, borrow from Ascendancy powers and put together some powerful, fun shit in that way. There'll be new uniques, there's some cool stuff there. There'll be new Ultimatum stuff. So Ultimatum is finally back, everyone's excited about that. Everyone's favorite stand in a circle and kill shit mechanic. It's been reworked to some extent. It's been added to the Atlas map. Notable stuff. And some of that looks pretty damn powerful. So should be good. I think Ultimatum is going to be a crowd pleaser. I don't think it was, quite as popular back in the day as everyone remembers it to be, but I think it certainly can be still, based off of some of the stuff they're changing, adjusting. Hopefully it's very rewarding. Some of what they've showed is that, you can get multiple divines and stuff. You'll probably be able to get like Mage Bloods, and it will give some good XP and ultimately a bit of a fun mechanic if you're strong enough to do it, especially with some of those notables on the Atlas. They're going to make it a bit tougher and more awkward to deal with. And then you also get Tainted Catalysts, which, so Metamorph is gone, and Ultimatum is going to replace that for Catalyst stuff. But then there's this new one, which will finally let you do some catalyzing of corrupted items, but kind of randomly, and, very randomly. And that's it. So let's just leave it at that. But it is something at least, and it should be pretty fun. But the big thing for this entire league is Transfigure Gems. So basically they're trying to streamline the process of doing different gem types, because we have alternate gems, we have alt quality gems, that is. We've got, Val gems aren't really going anywhere, but we've got alt quality gems, we've got Helm enchants, we had Threshold Jewels. I think there's still just a couple of things left, but in general, we had Threshold Jewels that would change the way gems function. Instead, we're now going to have Transfigured Gems, which replaces alt qualities, replaces lab enchants. So now when you do a lab, you might be able to turn one of your gems into a different gem, or there's a few different functions and stuff. Long story short, every single gem is going to have like a couple of sort of alt gems, which are transfigured gems, and they're going to do different shit. So they're typically not just going to have like, you know, an extra projectile or something. They're typically going to have some sort of different function. So that's going to be pretty big for build making, and I'm currently a bit overwhelmed as to what I'm going to play and what I should do at this point, because we're a blank canvas all over again. There's like 100 new skills / builds to kind of fuck with and see what's good, what's fun, what's, you know, worth doing and stuff. And it's pretty overwhelming, but at the same time, very exciting and should keep us quite busy throughout the entire league, testing and trying to discover what's the best and what's the funnest and stuff. So that's the main thing that's happening with this league. A big meta shift, I'd say. You can still, for the most part, from what I've seen, play a lot of your old builds that you liked and want to keep playing, but then there's also going to be a lot of stuff to discover as to what's potentially way better, potentially way funner. And I've gone over the entire patch notes on stream a couple days ago. Let me just double check this thing. So you find patch notes over here for those that, you know, haven't ever looked. It's patch notes and then it's down here. And I did go over all of these patch notes, and there is a lot to say about all of the gems, because all of the gems are changing in quality as well. They've also tried to change the qualities of gems. Instead of just being some boring, you know, 10% increased damage, most of them have been changed to be quite a bit more interesting, to do some of the more potent shit that lab enchants used to do typically. So a lot of lab enchants were very powerful for skill gems. They've kind of got absorbed into the main gem, and then if they were really good, and then transfigured gems are going to like do some other crazy whack shit. So there's a lot to digest in this, because we haven't really seen too many transfigured gems, so we can't really comment too many on those. But for the qualities that we have seen, what we can say is Ashes of the Stars, even though it's getting nerfed, should be extremely expensive, extremely well used, and extremely powerful this league, because a lot of these qualities getting buffed up through Ashes of the Stars, through Dialas and Enhanced Gem, they're going to get pretty nuts. So I did write down some notes while looking through these the other day, and basically what we've got for my quick little thought points is, I think Animate Weapon, what I'm currently playing and going to have a video of in like a day or two, Animate Weapon with the ranged Animate Weapon is probably going to be one of the dumbest builds out there. I think it's going to be absolutely cracked. Arc got pretty solidly buffed all around, just better crit, so it should be very powerful for cast on crit, self-cast, etc. Pretty good stuff with Arc, and there might be some good you know, alternate quality stuff too. There's a static ball lightning from Transcendence, which is essentially just, you know, Orb of Storms, but it's ball lightning. Huge cock viability, I think, for that one. Barrage ult, basically it's like the old Threshold, where it gives you lots of extra projectiles, volley fire at the start and beginning. I think that'll make Barrage pretty goddamn fun to play. Once again, Bladefall, Blade Blast, cast on crit. So Bladefall's getting its less blades left on the ground penalty removed from cast on crit or from triggers, and comboing that with Blade Blast is going to be, I think, it's already very good. It's going to be even better, I'd say. So there you go. Blink Arrow, the Transfigured Gems there looked pretty insane. So linking them up and having Blink Arrow, Mirror Arrow might potentially be a real good damage bonus boost for bow builds. Crackling Lance just got a huge like buff, and it already is one of the biggest single target things out there if you can get it working well. So I think Crackling Lance is going to be a big one. Divine Eye, by the looks of it, got pretty substantially buffed both for hit and for ignite, so less channeling fuckery, but more damage. Ellie hit just looked like typically got about 25% more damage for most builds that used Ellie hit ailments. You know, if you had like 5 ailments, you get 25% more damage. Energy Blade, a bit more ES. Why not? It's already very good. Even more. pretty damn big. Frenzy's looking real good. Big extra numbers on that for attack, for damage, and for speed. So I've played several, actual hit-based frenzy builds. They're pretty like strong and sleeper, sleeper strong. And this makes them even better, so looking pretty good there. Lightning Conduit got a bit of a buff, and it's already pretty good in some cast on crit builds, so why the fuck not? Perforate's one of the better melee options at the moment. Got a pretty substantial buff, so Perforate, even bigger. Power Siphon's a bit of a weird one, because it got changed to have like less of its projectiles built in and more like adjacents or something. Anyway, the TLDR there, I think it's still going to have good single target, but you'll have to like focus on stacking your arrows more or projectiles more, because previously you basically just let Power Siphon take care of the projectiles, attach barrage. Now you'll still attach barrage, but then you'll actually do some more projectile stacking, and you may end up having a bigger single target than you used to. Splitting Steel and all the steel skills, I can't really tell what's happening there. It's like, I think they're removing the fact that you got to spam Call of Steel, but you're still keeping the power there. And if that's true, then should be insane, because Splitting Steel very strong right now, especially with Nimmies. Should be even stronger, even crazier. I don't know. Vid Strike has quality that can give you more damage, and it sounds like it could be pretty fun for stacking quality. And then Vid Striking for some dumb reason could be a good fun meme. And Wave of Conviction qual stacking could be pretty good. A lot of these qual stackings could be pretty good, but Wave of Conviction has extra like penetration that could make it pretty nuts in the end. But yeah, as far as I can tell, a lot of quality stacking is going to be happening, and pretty powerful. So Ashes and Dialas is going to be goddamn pricey. We'll probably allow ourselves 1 or 2 uses for the league if we find it ourselves. But there is a lot to go over there if you really want to, just to check every different quality. Those were my cliff notes just from looking at them to begin with. And yeah, other than that, I mean, I think we're in for a pretty big league. We got some extra uniques. We got some uniques that got changed. One of the big ones is Heat Shiver. No longer does 100% against Frozen. Still going to be pretty damn powerful. Like, it's still going to be comparable to Abyssus in melee builds, but without that downside. So I don't know. I don't think it's anything to cry about, but it's obviously very strong at the moment, and it's still going to be pretty strong, I think. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything we really need to mention. Yeah, that's about it, I'd say. So yeah, all in all, I think it's going to be a pretty freaking big league. I was a little disappointed that we don't get like an end game, Maven, Elder, Eldritch, whatever, Cosmic Bosses revamp for, more new bosses and stuff. But the core game is still so goddamn good. Adding Ultimatum to that is going to be very fun. And then just the sheer amount of stuff we're going to play around with the new gems is going to keep us quite busy and just enjoying the game. One thing I was going to mention is that with a lot of these new gems, I get the feeling that they might try and bring back, we haven't yet seen them, but we might try and bring back some of the Crucible stuff that happened, because Crucible had a lot of different like things that you could do with skill gems and builds that were quite different and just disappeared, right? So some of those might come back and then let you change the way you play with certain skills and builds and all that. I don't know, just a small prediction. We'll see very soon, because we're about to get the gem info quite soon. But I think Affliction League's looking pretty spicy. The mechanic itself is going to be good. The Ascendancy is going to be good. But more important than anything, a lot of new builds and skills to fuck around with and kind of just, discover what happens. It's going to be a bit of a blind run for a lot of us. And that's very exciting, because we are back in the testing phase of what's good, what's bad, and what's going to rise to the top, or what's going to be the funnest thing to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed the announcement. I'm looking forward to Affliction. Thank you very much for watching, and see you guys next time.